live from New Hampshire. We'd rather be in the Bronx, but this and this, I have to be here. And I should tell you that Ted and I began this America's Mayor Live during the playoffs in 2022.
Yep.
And we, the Yankees got through the first round, and then they were playing the
Astros.
Oh, the Astros took them out, but we started with the Indians.
Yes.
Or I always call them the Indians because I think the Guardians is like they named the Cleveland Indians after our distinguished so-called Native Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as far as I remember, the Guardian used to be a prophylactic company. So this is the Cleveland Prophylactics. I don't get it.
Right.
I don't understand a baseball team named Guardians anyway.
First.
But in any event, they lost today. There we are.
Now
that was
an
the
interesting
early,
switch
there I
because
am.
Bader. I mean, Bader's a good hitter. He's a contact hitter. That's probably why he's up first. But he's also a home run hitter. So and he's had the most home runs in the playoffs.
3 years ago. I didn't want
The
to.
Red Sox just stole second base, which gives them two chances to bring it in on a single. No, they're at second and third. Well, we'll go back to that in a little while. The government's going to shut down. I don't think there's any. We're going to have Congressman Burchett on, right?
We have Congressman Tim Burchett first.
Burchett, and
then we have Congressman McGuire at the bottom of the hour.
Okay. So we'll find out from them. But I don't see how the government doesn't shut down because Congress would have to vote some kind of a continuing. Well, yeah, actually, there is a way that I could think of. I'm sure the administration knows it. This is all a question of interpretation. It's a question of does the government have enough money, theoretically, to pay its debt? Or is it in danger of defaulting on the debt? And that's a question of interpretation. So if you want it, the head of OMB, who I think is dying to have the government shut down, by the way, but I'm just saying theoretically, he could say, well, I just found additional receipts, and therefore you have 5 more days. It's even possible that he can find additional receipts, given the fact that I don't know how long this has been extended. I would say 2 to 2.5 months. Believe it or not, based on the receipts the government is getting, particularly from the tariffs. So while I was doing that, I was interrupted because the Red Sox just tied the game, and I got into a very bad mood.
Oh, geez.
So the pros and cons of this, you know what they are. The congressman, I'm sure, can explain it, but Republicans just want to extend things for 6 weeks or whatever it is at current levels. They don't want to add anything. They don't want to subtract anything. And that's a bit of a compromise because there are Republicans that want to make the price of satisfying the debt limit cutting in the future.
Mm.
And remember, it was hard getting that vote. Now, the Democrats have all of a sudden decided that they want to add tremendous amount of spending and questionable spending. Not questionable, totally ridiculous spending, so that we can continue health care for the illegals, for the people who are working that could get health care from their employer, but decide to charge you for it, and people who don't work who could work, none of whom were intended to have government health care or Medicaid. And they want to increase the current budget by hundreds of billions and the overall budget by $1 trillion or so in order to make them permanent. it makes no sense other than they want to throw up every obstacle they can. It's like, I guess it's like when you're losing a game and you got to change the momentum. Everything they do backfires on them. So you can either do nothing or you just keep doing things and hope that something sticks. I don't think that's a way to govern, but that's about the best explanation I can give of closing down the government because you want to give healthcare to illegal people. But I guess it's no crazier than putting criminals on the street that don't belong there, or trying to bring back rapists and murderers who Trump has successfully gotten out of the country, like that crazy von Hoofer-Boofer congressman from Maryland, von Holland, von Holenman?
Chris von Holland. Yeah, we got to check in with him.
Von Holenman, right?
Yeah.
Or von Hole. But he's gotten suddenly very quiet, right? As it turns out that there's a tape of the guy wife saying he beat the shit out of her. So if you are interested in the game, it's a man on for the Red Sox tied. No, the Red Sox are ahead 2-1. This is going from bad to worse. I may have to turn it around and not watch it.
What inning is it?
It's the top of the 6th or 7th.
I'll check on this.
Let's see. Take a better look. Top of the 7th.
Okay. Got a third of the game to go, 9 outs.
So New York City, as you know, the mayor, the current mayor, Mayor Adams, is last, or was last, in the group of candidates. So he dropped out 2 days ago, really in an effort to try to save the city, which I applaud in that sense, from a communist, a really despicable character, and could be irreparable. If anything is irreparable, electing a communist in New York City could be irreparable. Even if you later on were able to elect an independent or Republican or reformer, there'd be so much to reform. I mean, there are enough problems right now that if you just stopped right now and started to straighten out the debt and the crime and the ridiculous laws and the people leaving and tried to put the city back together as I did 25, 30 years ago, it would be a very difficult task. It would be harder now than it was then. Largely because the city, the task wouldn't be harder. Actually, the task would be easier. The game plan is there for it. The political constituency in the city has changed so much that it's hard to know if they would support it. Maybe they want to be communist. I don't know. They sure act like it in their voting. So now the race comes down to really two possibilities other than Mondani. One would be Cuomo, who is in second place, but by a good margin, already has lost a race to Mondani, the Democrat primary, and is trailing him by 12, 13 points. In third place is Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, who has like 14, 15%. And the real question is, most people think the accepted wisdom is if Sliwa were to drop out, which he's not going to do, and support Cuomo, Cuomo wouldn't be by any means a shoo-in, but it would get things very, very tight. And that Sliwa's vote would either stay home or mostly go to Cuomo, and Cuomo would have a better chance of getting voters out who weren't usually going to vote, but have been sufficiently alerted to the problems with Mondani. On the other hand, it could be that Cuomo has a ceiling. I mean, he was the governor. He did leave under bad circumstances that's still very much in the public mind. And it might be that he can't grow. And although Sliwa is behind him, the public opinion, decision-making on Sliwa is much more fluid than on Cuomo. And therefore, if a miracle could happen, it would happen the other way around. But look, Cuomo's not going to drop out. If he did, I would completely change my opinion of him. And I would say he ended his life putting the people first. And Curtis is not going to drop out. Or at least that's what he says, and I have every reason to believe that's correct. So we'll have to watch what happens. What I can tell you is that the guy is a disaster in every respect. Mandami. Even if he wasn't a communist, he'd be a disaster. So being a communist means he's going to try to increase the budget of the city, which is already out of whack by $1 trillion ridiculous amounts. Now, he won't apologize for calling the police racist. About 2 weeks ago, he told the New York Times that he intended to apologize for his anti-cop comments, which really would make sense since they protect him. What's he doing with a bunch of police officers from a racist police department protecting him? And how is he going to be their commander-in-chief? How do you, I was the head of the New York City Police Department. I don't know that they would have done much for me if I kept calling him racist. So he told the Times in an effort to get their endorsement, whether they just lick his backside anyway, and that he was going to apologize. So now, for 2 weeks, he hasn't apologized. Then the other issue is he's been asked, particularly with this issue of Hamas now coming up, and they're having to agree to the peace deal. He's been asked to denounce Hamas, not Palestine, Hamas. He should denounce both, but Hamas. Well, in both cases, the man should either say, "I'm not going to do it," or do it. So, with regard to apologizing to the police for calling them racist, this is what he said. The thing that I have appreciated the most in conversations around policing is the conversations I've had with rank and file officers. Those are the conversations where I share my reflections about where we are in this moment, where we've been, and also what it will mean to build together to deliver that publicity. What? This is like Russia is a big country and Ukraine is a small country. What does this mean, this sentence? The left-wingers, the really crazy left-wingers like Kamala and the old jerk and the young jerk you see on the screen right now, they really are, well, first of all, I can't say it about the senator guy. I don't really know him well. But Mandami is an intellectual lightweight. He's stupid. He tried to cheat to get into Columbia and couldn't, even though his father's on the faculty. He cheated by claiming he was black. You saw him. How is this guy even? But I want you to analyze that. That sentence doesn't mean anything. Where we've been, and also what it will mean to build together to deliver that publicity. Police departments deliver publicity? What the hell is he talking about? What he's talking about is double talk, because he's an effing liar. I think is that, and also he still believes what he said. He still believes the NYPD is an occupying force to perpetuate state violence against people of color. That's one of somebody talking off the record. Then Hamas. He's not going to denounce Hamas. I can, however, share my own words and say them right here, which is that my politics is built on a universality. I can think of no better illustration of that than from the words of the hostage families themselves. Everyone for everyone, he added. Everyone for everyone. Well, I mean, the hostage families are in great distress, and I can understand what they mean. But what the hell does a political candidate mean by everyone for everyone? When the question is, are you denouncing a terrorist group? And how does he get away with it? The conclusion is really simple. And several columnists and commentators have reached the opinion that I reached a long time ago and have probably restated to you numerous times long before this phony came along. And that is, there's only one way that this city is going to be straightened out, and that's to get rid of the Democrats, including Adams. So in the column by Gerard Baker, even though the Post and some of the others have written kind of nice things about Adams, he says his record in office in the past 4 years stands as empty and pointless as the hapless New York Mets City Field will be now that baseball's postseason is over. He's a mediocrity propelled not by talent or vision, but by the exigencies of municipal politics into the big job in America's biggest city. And the measure of his success is his standing in the polls after 4 years of office, 8%. Losing to three people, one of whom is a communist, the other of whom is scandal-ridden, and the third of whom is a Republican in an overwhelmingly crazy Democratic city. The deteriorating quality of life of most people in this city, once great, as costs rise inexorably, a diminishing number of residents paying a larger and larger share of the taxes, prosecuted on federal criminal charges. And many people forget he's the architect of the city's illegal alien problem. So when Biden turned him down, which he shouldn't have done because Biden was in the same boat that he was, Biden had every right to say, you created your own problems, pal, by offering them a credit card, by offering them free health care, by telling them they get more benefits in New York than any place else. Why the hell do you think more of them came to your city? Jerk. Now, he claims that what Biden did is prosecute him because he criticized Biden. I think that's true, too. New York needs a break from incompetent, expensive, and corrupt Democratic Party rule. You're damn right it does. It's happened before. For 2 decades, from 1994 to 2013, the administrations of Rudy Giuliani and Mike Bloomberg led the city from some of its darkest days to some of its brightest. Thank you, Gerard. But that's very little comfort in that, and I know you understand that, because I am furious at what I think is going to happen. All I can do is urge you to vote for Curtis Sliwa. But they're not going to listen to me. Even though I think if you ask them, even the crazy ones, they would tell you I was the best mayor in their lifetime. I think they would. Maybe the craziest Democrats wouldn't. But over time, even a lot of my critics, in comparison to the people who came along after me, excepting Bloomberg, well, really, there are only 2 others, right? Well, Adams is one of them. One sign of how the city is deteriorating, it was done by my friend Carl Campanile in the Post. Carl points out that Texas now has more banking jobs than New York. That's crazy. The financial services sector in New York shrunk by 8,400 jobs from January through August this year. This year, 8,400 jobs. And over a five-year period, New York City's financial sector has grown by only 4%, whereas every place else, like Austin, Texas, 27%, Charlotte, North Carolina, 21%, Dallas, 11%. I often tell you that Russia is a one-trick pony, and that's oil. You get that price of oil down to $40 and below, Russia's gone, Putin's gone, they'll throw him out. New York City is not quite a one-trick pony. It's close. It's called the financial industry. My OMB, Office of Management and Budget, which was brilliant, by the way, as good as the federal government, if not better, would basically judge our budget for the next year and how much we were going to take in based on heavy reliance on Wall Street. If they lost money, we were going to have a big problem. If they broke even, well, we'd probably be okay. If they had a bonus, we'd do better. If they had a big bonus, we were going to have a surplus. It was very, very technically 40% of New York City's economy when I was mayor. Indirectly, I always considered it about 60% because of everything that it throws off. Now, it was going to shrink anyway, and parts of New York's economy grew while I was mayor and while Bloomberg was mayor. Like the tourist industry went from 5 million to 25, and the movie industry came back, and many other things started to diversify the economy of the city because both my administration and Bloomberg's realized that that was going to happen. We probably didn't, maybe we did. And certainly Mike would have, because his machine is part of how it all changed. People could stay at home. But I mean, it's not as if this is a surprise. I knew before I was mayor that the economy of the city was going to shift and that it had to become more diversified. And we did diversify it. But starting with de Blasio, the economy of the city has been ruined, including Adams, who's done nothing to really straighten out the budget, restore the money taken from the police of $1 billion, readjust the budget. All of it can be done. They're wasting enormous amounts of money. A lot of it is democratic corruption. The budget of New York City is greater than the budget of the state of Florida. New York City has 8 million people. Florida has 23 million. So, and the state of New York, which supplies a lot of New York City's money, right? The state of New York is to almost 2.5 times the state of Florida. So what's going on with all that extra money? It's sure not in services. You know what that means? They're whacking it up, like the indictments of the people around Adams, which everybody's going like this to.
Well, of course, Mayor, we're following the potential deadline. We're just moments away from being joined by a good friend of ours, Representative Tim Burchett, who many of you have seen on our show, but also he's a regular on, we've seen him on Newsmax, Fox News. He's just a really good communicator, and he's
a terrific congressman,
and an even better congressman,
and a great guy,
and a great guy by all measurements. So I believe we're just about to pull him on here. So we're going to pull him on right now. We have now on the show Representative Tim Burchett. He represents the 2nd congressional district in the great state of Tennessee.
Tim, how are you?
I'm great, Mayor. It is always a pleasure being on with you, brother. I was Knox County's mayor, but you were America's mayor, man. I always say this. I wish my mom and dad were alive. They would not believe that I was friends.
Oh, Tim, you're wonderful. So I gather the government has to. There's no way anything can change between now and midnight, right?
No, unless Schumer gets a dose of reality. You're the New Yorker, but I got a theory on this thing. Would you let me expound on it?
Yeah,
I think a lot has to do with Schumer, his radicalization. I mean, he's always been kind of you see the picture of him with raw hamburgers with cheese on them on the grill. He ain't got a clue about that. But I think he's looking in his rearview mirror, and he sees the AOC looming back there, and he's seeing New York City, your once proud city, is getting ready to elect a communist.
Right.
And he knows that his base is shifted. So he's got to throw in with the far left on this thing. He'll shut it down over transgendered surgeries and providing health care for illegals all day long because he sees AOC. He might not say it. And I know Cortez pretty well. And I'll say, you going to run against him? You going to run against Schumer? Oh, Burchett, And I'm like, you know good and well, if she throws her hat in the ring at that Hollywood crowd and all those far lefts from all over the country, she would raise millions overnight. And she would have a great production team, and Schumer couldn't get out of his own way. And
Yeah, you're right.
I think that has partially something to do with this, and the fact the Democrats use the carrot and the stick a lot better than we do. They reward them with the carrot, or they beat them over the head, or whatever with that stick, and they're all just going to fall off the bridge for this deal, and that's all it is. And the best friend the Democrats have, though, is the Republican Party. Our messaging stinks. I've been hitting this thing all week. I'm regularly. I'm getting these. I'm putting these X's or tweets out and Instagram, and I'm getting hundreds of thousands of views on them. I put one out I did a little video, and I think 3 or 4 days ago on what was going on with this thing. I had over 1 million views. And I mean, I'm the 435th most powerful member of Congress. You know that.
Right.
And people are just like, yes, yes, yes. And that's the message we need to hit them with. And if we do that, they're going to sink. And the thing that they're in Washington tonight, the members of the House, the Democrats are in the House, are trying to blame us for the shutdown. And only one Democrat voted with us to keep open the government. And I'll tell you one other thing. You got a heart for working people, just like I do, and poor folks. And dadgummit, they want to take $50 billion from this rural health care thing. You got a poor little God-fearing woman up in the mountains up here who's getting ready to have a baby, and they're going to take her health care so they can give it to an illegal. This is,
Yeah, it's terrible.
the Bible talks about right is wrong and wrong is right and up is down and down is up. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now. It's horrendous. And when you throw in the transgender surgeries, I mean, that's demonic, these kids, and think we're doing this stuff overseas, and they want money to prop up these liberal media stations. I know you know who Lee Greenwood is, and I was listening to, I don't know, I must have been at gunpoint or something in a psychotic episode. I was listening to NPR when I pulled in my farm and my daughter's dually, and I pull in and I'm listening. They said, and they asked us, these two flapping heads were talking to each other, and they were saying, well, what's your definition of propaganda? And one of them said, in this real intellectual voice, mine is Lee Greenwood singing "God Bless the USA." And I thought to myself, how far have we fallen, Mayor?
Yeah.
How far? And I asked the head of NPR that, and she said, well, that's not our opinion. That's one of our hosts' opinion. I said, well, dadgummit, who makes your opinions? I mean, you put it out, and I mean, I could do that all day long. You're a lawyer, I mean, if somebody says something, they say it, and then, it's well, dadgummit, they're wearing, if a police officer goes and cracks somebody's head, they sue the city of New York. They don't. Then they can individually sue the person because they don't have anything. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And their arguments, and then they're on some, now they and also they what they do, they defund, or they're funding some kind of what is it? Some kind of environmental nonsense overseas again. It's just the whole
how
thing.
long can they? How long, Tim? How long can they keep this up? Let's say it closes tonight. How long can they? Last time it was 35 days. I was in Washington with the president then. I was his lawyer. I spent almost every day with him at the 35 because we were getting ready for Mueller. But I think that the administration is going to try to take advantage of it and cut a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. He's, one thing they're not. This isn't Joe Biden. I was on Fox Business earlier tonight, and I said, look, dadgummit, I don't want him teaching my daughter's Sunday school class down here at the Baptist Church, but I sure like him at Pennsylvania Avenue. He plays hardball. Y'all up there in New York, they always say Trump how's he going to handle these terrorists? I said, dadgummit, he handles Teamsters in New York City. I think he can handle some punk overseas terrorists. And,
Yeah, he's doing it.
I mean, you've handled them. You know how they, I mean,
Yeah.
you've been with Trump. You know his deal. And they just think he's going to blink, and he's not, because this is don't throw me in that briar patch kind of thing. And dadgummit, he's going to come out swinging, and you know it. And they're going to, can you imagine tomorrow or next week? It's fall break for a lot of these school kids. We didn't have any fall break. That was just flu season or something when I was in high school. But they got this fall break, and parents are going to go to our national parks. They're going to go to these monuments that we own, that you and I own as American citizens, and they're going to be closed because they want to provide health care to illegals. That's the message. And if the Republicans put that out, we'll sail through those primaries.
Good. Well, Tim, good luck. And thank you for your perspective. It's very, very helpful. And you look great. You look nice and relaxed.
I'm on a low sodium diet. I'm off sodium, sugar, and caffeine. And my wife says, "Baby, what's the point in living?" I said, "I don't know. I've lost so much goddamn weight."
Well, Mayor, before we let him go, he was the mayor of Knoxville. That's home of the University of Tennessee.
Yeah.
The Volunteers, they're number 15 in the country right now. You're Notre Dame, fighting Irish, two big losses to start the year.
Yep.
But we got to ask the representative, how far can Tennessee go?
As far as they need to. Now, Notre Dame, that's a 2-year school, right? That's a trade school. I'm a little confused.
Well, it's great to see you, Tim. We're going to take a break now.
Thank you,
God
brother.
bless you.
It's great seeing you, Mayor. God bless you.
And we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Now, the Yankees and the Red Sox are in the 8th inning, the bottom of. The Red Sox are leading 2-1. There is one out in the bottom of the 8th. Volpe is on first after getting a single, and he's stealing second, but it didn't work because Wells, who's at the plate, hit a foul ball. Trying to steal second. Looked like he had it stolen. Oh, well, that's ball 2, and that was a very close pitch. I will say that as a Yankee fan, and Mr. Crochet, whatever the hell his name is, was pitching an unbelievably good game. And well into the game. Here he is already in the game, still in the game in the 8th inning. I will tell you, he looks a little tired. Now, I don't know him that well. Ooh, he almost hit him in the face to take it to a 3-2 count on the catcher. I mean, this guy throws the ball at about 97, 98 miles an hour. Now, look at that one. Look at that, Ted. He got hit with that. We're talking broken jaw. And out for the rest of the series, for sure. Maybe worse. So that's Austin Wells, the Yankee catcher at the plate. That's the pitcher, Crochet, right there. He's been in for every inning since the first. He's given up only one run, a home run to Volpe, who's the man on first base who just got a single. He has a 3-2 count. And what he wants to do is avoid walking him, because then he puts the tying run in scoring position with the top of the lineup coming up. So 117th pitch, and that's ball 4. No! Oh, now you're going to see that was not a strike. I guarantee you that wasn't a strike. Can we watch that again, Ted? I mean, that was not a strike. That was low. You got to be kidding me. Now he's going to bring. Now, this is an interesting move here. And let's see if he brings in Aroldis Chapman. To me, it looked like Crochet was getting tired. He was taking more time between pitches. He was perspiring pretty profusely. Scott in the bullpen, a guy who used to be a Yankee, and at one time, after Mariano retired, was probably the dominant closer in baseball, Aroldis Chapman, who I used to watch from my seats behind the catcher. I used to love watching him because he could get the ball over 100 miles an hour. Had 2 or 3 good seasons with the Yankees, and then he fell apart. He lost it completely. They traded him, nothing. Came back with the Red Sox last year as a setup pitcher. This is his best season in baseball. What is he, 37, 38 years old? And he still throws the ball 98, 99, 100 miles an hour. This has been his best season. Now, the last time the Yankees faced him, they hit 2 home runs off him. But until then, he had been wiping them out. In fact, the Red Sox have wiped out the Yankees all season until the last series in Fenway Park. And the Yankees won 2 out of 3. And Judge must have had 3 home runs. And the real question in this series is, can Judge start to become a dominant playoff hitter? He's the dominant hitter, or tied for the dominant hitter in baseball, right? Good chance he'll be the MVP this year. This is the first year he's won the batting crown. He has 50 home runs again, and he was injured for part of the season. Okay, so the catcher, God darn, why did the Yankees ever give him up? That's a ball. Look what the catcher did. Man, that's why I love catchers. That guy used to be with the Yankees. The Red Sox picked him up last season. He just stole that strike. And Wells will understand exactly what happened. Did you see what Navarre did? He took his glove, and immediately, as soon as he caught it, so now you don't know when the umpire actually sees it crossing a plate or watches the glove. He needs both. Remember, the ball is coming in. I would imagine that was an over 90-mile-an-hour pitch, 96, 97. Being able to see that, depending on the catcher a lot. And a good catcher knows how to do that. And that guy is a good catcher. And so was the guy he took the at bat from, and he knew exactly what happened to him. You could see him going like this. And here's Aroldis Chapman, at one time a phenom when there were many fewer 100-mile-an-hour pitches. Now everybody throws 95, 98, 100, 105. What is Chapman talking to somebody?
They had an issue with the pitch clock, so they should be ready now.
I was hoping they were reviewing the pitch. I think Crochet wanted to stay in. Most pitchers, and look, he's looking at. It looks like he's looking at a replay. He may be looking at the same replay they were showing to the strike. Are the umpires working for the Red Sox? Is that why they're out there conferring with them? I think the umpires are working with the Red Sox. You know, it was revealed mildly a couple of weeks ago, but now they've got the proof. Russia is torturing Ukrainian prisoners with electric shocks to their genitals. They got the proof. I mean, what is this sucking up to Putin thing? I think that's over anyway. I think Trump has changed both game plans in what I think I described to you earlier as a brilliant move. He's basically shuffled the deck in both the Middle East and in Ukraine. So a couple of weeks ago, in the case of Ukraine, it was a pretty even thing. You know, Putin had to move, and Zelensky had to move, and it was a little unclear. Well, Trump, working with his European friends, who have now become friends, and using them as the in-between, so he can direct but doesn't have to commit anything until he wants to, has made it abundantly clear that the impediment to peace in Ukraine is Vladimir Putin. And particularly since Putin, who only knows how to be a brute, just keeps killing people. And his targets are civilian targets. Considerably, I mean, Israel gets criticized all over the world for it. And Israel probably does everything they can to avoid killing civilians because they know, first of all, they're humane. And secondly, they understand what it does to their public relations. Putin doesn't give a damn. His public relations is, the more you think I'm a brute, the better it is. But what Trump has done is put the focus right on him. And now the room for him, Trump, to maneuver is growing and growing. So we have already put in the hands of the Ukrainians missiles that are quite capable of reaching about half of Russia. And only about a third of Russia has any people anyway. And we keep extending we were holding them back, going back to Biden, including into Trump, holding them back from hitting back in Ukraine. It's quite obvious that the only strategy that will work at this point is to hit Russia back the way they're hitting Ukraine. The only way you can beat them, and this was true in the Cold War, by the way, which is why one of the things that won the Cold War for us was the deployment of the cruise missiles to Europe. So until Reagan, we defended ourselves against Russia with intercontinental ballistic missiles and bombers. If they hit us, we were going to fire our missiles and send our bombers over to them. And 5, 6, 7, 8 hours later, they're going to bomb Russia. But should they attack a European city who we were promising to defend, would we do that? Would we send those rockets all the way and start a conflagration that might include America? Well, Europe didn't trust that we would. And finally, Jimmy Carter agreed that we would put shorter range nuclear missiles in European cities. Carter then, of course, as Democrats always do, this is one of the reasons Adams is out of office, he couldn't follow through on it. So he changed his position because he had to go to the left in order to get the Democratic nomination challenged by Senator Kennedy. So he backed off the agreement with Europe. Reagan, running against him, said, I'll keep that agreement. When he came into office, nobody thought he would. Immediately he did. A few years later, he implemented it, and he put intercontinental ballistic missiles in Italy, Germany, England, a couple of other places. And whether this is true or not, I don't know. The rumor in Russia was that each one of them had the name of a Russian city on it. And the Russians, and Reagan sold on this beautifully, and I've had Russians tell me this since then. Russians believe that Trump wanted to hit them with ballistic missiles, just wanted an excuse. And now he had the names of the cities on the rockets. And that went a long way to destroying communism in Eastern Europe and saving that whole half of Europe from slavery, which is what they were living under. I always see it as a Catholic as until Ronald Reagan, the Catholics couldn't go to church in Poland, or unless you wanted to get shot and killed. When I went to Poland, I was able to go to a Catholic mass. And that's why his statue is right there. Ronald Reagan statue.
Well, Mayor, now we have Congressman John McGuire, a good friend of ours. Those that have watched the show remember the congressman during his campaign took out an epic Trump hater, and
the most accomplished first-term congressman I've ever met.
That's right. And so, joining the show, Congressman John McGuire of Virginia.
John, how are you?
Hey, Rudy, it's so good to see you. How are you doing? You doing okay?
I'm doing fine. I'm recovering.
The whole country's been praying for you. We saw what happened, and you look great.
Well, I feel great, and I'm recovering. I'm almost 100%. So, what do you think about the shutdown of the government? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I kind of like it.
Well, you know what? I'm about less government and less spending. And, I heard, how you just can't fire somebody in the federal government. You just can't fire them. But I heard that during a shutdown, that opens up a door where you can fire some of those folks that
you
can't normally fire. So
well, it's a great opportunity to get rid of a lot of people, particularly if it goes 10, 12. The last one went 35 days. And we got through it.
We did. And, I spoke with some federal workers today, and a woman who had been around for a long time. She said that when they had the last shutdown that she experienced, they kept essential workers for 45 days. And then the ones that weren't essential went home for 45 days. But she said that even the ones that sat at home and didn't do anything, once the government opened back up, they gave them their back pay.
Yeah.
She thought that wasn't fair, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. People would get back pay, but they could be fired. Right. You could decide to downsize an agency, and there's you sort of, right now, the head of OMB, starting at midnight, will be in charge of the government. He'll decide what jobs are essential, what jobs aren't essential. When he decides they're not essential, he may decide to get rid of them completely.
Well, I'm on the Oversight Committee, and I'm on the Armed Services Committee, but we worked with Elon Musk for the first part of this session on the Doge, and we found a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. But one of the things I found, it's really hard to fire a fellow worker. And one particular fellow worker knew it was so hard to fire him that he would make a mockery of the government and go to the Bahamas for 30 days because he couldn't fire him. So folks like that might be regretting it. Maybe like you said, maybe something good is going to come out of this.
So it would be impossible at this point, being 8:30, 8:50, it'd be impossible for the government not to close down, right? I mean, nobody's, unless there's a way that the administration could extend it. I don't know.
Right. So I just heard right before I got on your show is that President Trump asked for an extension and Schumer and the Democrats told him no. So unless something happens in the next hour, we are going to shut down the government. And here's the crazy thing is this continuing resolution, it passed in March. It's a clean CR. And we did our job in the House of Representatives. But when it goes over to the U.S. Senate, you have to have 60 votes. That means we need 7 Democrats. Those Democrats voted for it in March. Now, pretty much the same thing. They're not voting for it. They're playing politics over we the people. And that's on the Democrats. It's a Democrat government shutdown. They own it.
Yeah, they do. I think politically the message is pretty clear. And I think at some point they're going to have to fold. But I think ultimately you can make something good come out of this.
Well, I think so. And the crazy thing is rural hospitals. We always talk about rural hospitals struggling financially. In the work and family tax cut, we put $50 billion in there, the biggest investment in rural hospitals in history. And it has nothing to do with the CR. But part of the negotiating point for the Democrats is to roll that back, is to take that away. And they want to use American taxpayer dollars to fund medical coverage for illegal aliens. I mean, they came here illegally, and they want to take your taxpayer dollars and support illegal aliens over law-abiding, tax-paying American citizens. It's America last.
I don't know how they get away with it. Maybe they don't. They lose most of these battles nowadays, and the Democrat Party is extremely unpopular. So let's see how this all works out, John. What do you think about the Middle East? Is Hamas going to agree or not?
You know, how do I say this? I think they're a bunch of savages, and I'd be shocked.
God bless you. You're absolutely right.
I just do. I mean, I got to tell you, as a Navy SEAL veteran, I've seen some evil around the world. The freshman class, the first week of August, we were in Israel, and I saw videos made by Hamas terrorists on GoPros where they were shooting teenage boys and girls in the back while they were running. They cut off a woman's body parts and played soccer with it and laughed while they did that. And my wife and I met a young girl. She was running with her friend, and she had a water bottle in her hand. And she was telling us a story, and her friend decided to stop running. And she went back to her friend and said, "You've got to keep running." And she says, "I just can't." And they were shooting people around them. And she said, "Can I have your water bottle?" And she said, "No, it's the only one I've got." And she goes, "Well, how about this? Why don't you get behind the tree so you don't get shot?" And as they were trying to get this girl behind the tree that wouldn't run, she gets shot and killed. So the girl with the water bottle continued running, but she felt guilty. So she ran back and put her water bottle in the hands of a dead girl. And then she went and she climbed inside an Israeli Merkava tank, and the crew was dead. It was too hot. She got out and ran. What they had done is dropped a hand grenade from a drone, just like Ukraine, and killed the tank crew. And then she hid in the woods, and the police found her the next day. I mean, it's just crazy stories. You can't reason with people who we, American people, gave them $4 million a week, $1 billion, and instead of feeding their people, they built 500 miles of underground tunnels, and they built them all the way up to the border of Israel. And on October 7th, 2023, they popped out of the ground with the bulldozers we gave them to build buildings, and they shot innocent people. So I don't think you can negotiate with them.
Well, John, you're doing a great job. I don't know what happens when the government shuts down. The Congress stays open, right?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what we're doing. I'm going to be in D.C., but I've got a district team and a D.C. team, and we're going to answer phone calls all day and just take care of people and help them navigate government as best we can.
Well, John, next year is re-election. I'm there.
Well, I got to tell you, well, thank you, Rudy.
Whatever you need. You've accomplished more in 1 year than I've ever seen a first-year congressman do. I mean, you're like a veteran. It's amazing.
Well, very blessed, but by the grace of God, President Trump, he did an executive order with my language in it, which for a freshman is a big deal. I went down to the southern border and said, someone's going to be killed. And next thing you know, I'm in the Oval Office explaining what we can do to better secure our border. And then President Trump endorsed me 2 days later. I'm the first Republican in the whole United States that President Trump endorsed for next year. And to me, that's a huge honor. I'm a big Trump fan. He's an amazing president.
Well, God bless you, John, and give my love home, all right?
I will. God bless you.
Well, now we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Do you know the U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation? Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. So this is Rudy Giuliani. We're back with America's Mayor Live. And while I was interviewing Congressman McGuire, the Yankees, I thought, got really shafted on a call on second base. The guy stole second base, or it appeared that way. And when you look at the replay, there's no question that he had been tagged out about this much before. Well, you can't see me, but about
No, they can see you. They can see you.
About this much before his hand hit the base. We'll try to show it to you later, or they may show you the replay. They should, because the Red Sox are not entitled to this run. It should be taken away from him right now. I mean, these games are close enough, and we have replay for a reason. And I don't know, you have to be blind not to have seen this. And I am a biased Yankee fan, but I think I would see it if it was the other way around too. So let's hope they get out of it now. There's 2 outs. This guy, this pitcher is very, very tough on lefties. And you can see why, right, Ted? Mm-hmm. Watch the side. Very few people throw sidearm. When I grew up, there were a lot of good sidearm pitchers. And as a catcher, I caught a really good sidearm pitcher. A lefty sidearm pitcher, by the way, is deadly against a left-handed hitter. I wonder what his average is against lefties. I'm sure it's fabulous. Just think about it. So I'm right-handed. I'm a right-handed hitter. So let's say there's a right-handed pitcher. The ball is coming across me. You see? So I gotta watch it out of this eye, and then I gotta pick it up with this eye. And a good sidearm pitcher, particularly if they're tall and lanky like that, they end up almost out of the pitcher's mouth. And then the ball comes around. The only thing you can't do, you can't get as much speed on the ball. And most people couldn't get as much action on the ball because you have a lot more. Remember, when you're throwing overhand like that, you're using the entire lower body to drive the ball forward, which is how you get it up to 100 miles an hour. There's a lot less leverage when you're throwing this way. A lot more deceptive, but a lot more leverage. So they're going to they're not going to be throwing 100 miles an hour, but it's going to be very hard to pick up the ball. And they're much better as relief pitchers. Ewell Blackwell was a National League pitcher that was probably the best sidearm pitcher in the late 40s and early 50s. He was the first one I saw. And I liked it so much, I was a catcher. I tried to get a lot of my pitchers to mix it in. And occasionally when I pitched, which always was just for fun, and then in softball, it's very, very hard, of course, to throw sidearm. But whenever I would get to pitch, I would always throw sidearm. I liked throwing sidearm because I didn't have that much speed. Pretty good. I could throw people out at second, but I didn't have the kind of speed that you need to have to be a pitcher. So here we are back at Yankee Stadium. The Yankee fans are down to their last 3 outs. They're going crazy. They're jumping up and down. I am surprised I don't see, and Ted noted this earlier, I don't see the usual number of Red Sox fans that I usually see at Yankee Stadium. So the funny thing about Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park is, if you were to go to Fenway Park and you hear this big cheer, the Yankees are playing the Red Sox, you say, oh, the Red Sox got a home run. Could be the Yankees. Why? Because a lot of Yankees fans go to Fenway Park. Now, why is that? Well, they drive up from New York. That's easy. But all the kids that are in college in Massachusetts learning how to be communists, they come from New York. You're still on. Go to Fenway Park when the Yankees are in town. So you have a built-in Yankee crowd in Boston. You have a built-in Boston crowd in New York because a lot of people from Boston live in New York. So behind the plate, you can see a guy that's sitting in the seats I think I used to have. No, almost there. Now, I would have thrown him out because he's got a red jersey on. I would have probably found some excuse to have him removed by the police. Now, you see those seats right behind the batter? Those used to belong to Saturday Night Live. When I was a New Yorker. You can see how nervous the Yankee fans look. They should. Aroldis Chapman has had a great season after folding as a pitcher. Now that's a good way to start. That's a good way to start. It also shows we can hit him. 100 miles an hour or not. If the ball is too straight. Now, he was unhittable and unbeatable. There's two Red Sox fans. Now, I've seen Aroldis cave. He's only been at a bat against him 3 times, 1 for 3. Wow. Well, now you see, now everything changes because a single, see, this is where that extra cheating run becomes important. if they hadn't cheated and given the Red Sox that run by not calling the guy out at second base, a single would now tie the game. A single is so unimportant, you might not even bring the guy in right now.
Oh, that's going to drop.
They got one in. Now, if this were a straight game,
Bases loaded, no outs.
they did exactly what I said. They played it carefully. They held the guy at third
Wow.
because the run at second is the one that matters, not the one at third. No reason to risk bringing the first guy in and have it 3-2, right, Ted?
Right.
Particularly if you might throw him out at the plate. Now a single will tie the game. A double could end it in a walk-off fashion. Now that's lefty against lefty. You now have the Yankees' best playoff hitter, I think, coming to the plate. Giancarlo Stanton. This is one of the best playoff players in baseball now. And you will notice there is nobody in the Boston bullpen, and he hasn't gotten an out. And this has got to be their best postseason player. Most in first 41 games in ML history, 18 career postseason home runs, one now, and that stadium will be cheering until tomorrow morning. Oof. That would have been ball one.
So those that want to follow along, the game is being played on ESPN. And the Mayor we're watching right now, it's the bottom of the ninth. The
Well, I
Yankees
think I'd
down
rather
3-1.
listen to me.
Well, yeah, we'll keep the Mayor on, but if you want to watch the game,
Oh, they can't see the game?
no, they can't see the game.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, well,
Well, then put it on. I thought they could see what I was seeing.
no, but I have some text up that says what's
All right.
happening, but
Well, make it like it's radio.
yeah.
On the mound is
I wonder
Aroldis
if he
Chapman. At the plate, Giancarlo Stanton, one of the best playoff hitters in baseball. And he's making contact with whatever he's up there to hit.
At second after his single, and
He
Bellinger
is definitely up there to hit.
is at first, time called at the plate.
Extremely serious look on his face. He just called timeout to set himself.
Many memorable moments in October for Giancarlo Stanton in pinstripes.
This was his teammate.
Not there. Chapman went with a splitter, and Stanton is struck out the first out of the ninth.
That was unfortunate.
He's got three pitches he can go to. The slider
One
and the
out.
splitter. You can see right here. The splitter down
And
and
they're-
away has Stanton way
Under
out
these
front.
circumstances, their best hitter. Oh, he had him by
When you
a
throw 100 miles
lot.
an hour,
Did he
that
have a
can
strike? Yeah, he swung at a
Speed him
strike.
up to slow him down.
He's definitely
Again,
swung at a
very
strike.
good arms in right field and center field. Now Jazz Chisholm.
No, he came very close to hitting a home run, I think, in the fifth or sixth inning.
0-1 on a 100-mile-an-hour four-seamer.
Didn't start against
100
Ricochet
mile an
because he's a
hour.
tough lefty. And
100
Chapman's
miles
not
an hour.
hitting it either.
Wow.
Came in actually when they were down. Not up.
He has 31 home runs on the season, 80 RBIs. He obviously is capable of producing a hit.
That's called strike two, 101.
101 miles an hour. I don't think I'd complain about that. I think that was a strike.
Sweaty, and it's taken him a while. And of course, he was back on the bench.
They're giving him a
after
little
the game.
leeway. They usually don't allow you to complain about balls and strikes. Yeah, a little bit.
Great strikes.
And now, all right, he hung in there on that one. Fouled it off to the left side of the diamond into the stands. Chisholm is at the plate. Aroldis Chapman. is the 100-mile-an-hour plus relief pitcher. The bases are loaded. There's only one out, but there are 2 strikes on the batter. The 2 starting pitchers have been shown on the screen looking very, very nervous about what's going to happen to their game. Chapman digs in. Chisholm digs in. All the well, that'll be 1 run.
He will not tag as that throw comes
Nope.
in.
He decided not to go. Very smart move because he doesn't count.
The Yankees trailing by 2 with Trent Grisham coming up.
As I told you, he doesn't count. He might have made it. He might not have made it. But what's the difference? Losing 3-2 is no different than losing 3-1. The man on second base, that's critical. That's the man that has to come in. Now, had they not given that extra run to the Red Sox, we'd be tied now. Because they would have scored him the last time around.
Goldschmidt and Judge each got a hit and then a strikeout and a double play. They each got a hit to start the 9th.
Now, this guy, Trent Grisham, has 34 home runs.
Grisham takes one just
That's a ball. Now, he's going to pitch him carefully. Even though it's lefty against lefty. He's got 2 outs.
Very slow and
Even if he walks him, he walks in just 1 run. So a walk isn't critical. No reason to take a chance with him. He fouled that one off to the left side.
Started off this inning throwing 95. Now it's 100 plus.
It's got the lather working now, though.
Definitely advantage Red Sox with 2 outs, 2 quick outs, which is very, very unfortunate. With the bases loaded, you should be able to score. And they're down to their last out and almost their last strike. That's ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. That was 101 miles an hour. The poor guy had to move back on it. Can you imagine getting hit by the 101-mile-an-hour fastball?
Judge is the tying run at second.
Here goes Chapman into the windup. Here comes the pitch. That's a definite strike right over the middle of the plate. It was not a great pitch to hit. I'll give him that. It was high in the strike zone. It would have been hard to do anything great with it, except make out. But getting down to 2 strikes, this is going to be a great advantage to whichever team walks off here with a victory.
Got him, and the Red Sox rally from behind and take game 1 of this wild
Well, that's the game. He struck him out. The Red Sox defeat the Yankees 3-1 on a unfortunately on a bad call, which I will not forget. And if we get a chance, I'll show it to you to show you I am not unfair. Yeah, Chapman. Why didn't you pitch like that for us? Got a big smile on his face. Of course, he just won. And there's sort of a big, unfortunate thing hanging over Aaron Judge, and that is his poor performance as a playoff player. Now, he got 2 hits in this game, but they don't have him to get hits. He had an opportunity at the plate in the last inning to put this game into, when he got up into a tie with a home run. This is quite unfortunate. The Red Sox now have a great advantage being up 1 game. You only have to win 1 out of 2 now. And I mean, that's baseball. You go on to the next game, but now it's just 1 out of 2. And Fried is definitely their best pitcher, the Yankees' best pitcher. Now, Crochet is definitely their best pitcher. And the next matchup, Rodin. Unfortunately, the matchup that would help us the most is the third, because their third pitcher is injured. They almost don't have a third pitcher, the Red Sox. They may have to do one of those 3 pitchers pitching. And we have a rookie who's fabulous, actually, from the Boston area. as our third pitcher. But we got to win tomorrow to get to the third game. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe we'll do better once the government is shut down and all those Democrat, I would imagine the Democrats root for the Red Sox. It's in communist Boston. Oh, wait a second. What's New York? Well, right now, Boston is more communist than New York because Mayor Wupu is clearly more communist than Mayor Adams. In fact, I have some pictures of Mayor Wupu, and I actually put it out today on X, but I didn't put out a picture of Mayor Wupu right next to it. It says F Whites, and then there's a re-elect Wupu, Mayor Wu. Mayor Wu is about as left as Mondani and about as stupid as the guy in Chicago. In fact, I want you, and I'm asking this as a serious question to my wonderful, highly intelligent audience. Can you name for me a Democrat mayor? I didn't say governor, I said mayor, who's doing a good job. Then give me a Democratic governor. I might be able to find one or two, but I'm not going to tell you. Most of them are horrible. And the important ones are really horrible, the governors. But Chicago has a grand slam with the dumbest man in Chicago as mayor and the sloppiest slob as a governor, and Rich Ne'er-do-well. Now, New York could be there. Hochul Pochul got nothing between the ears, the governor. Between here and here. Woo-hoo. Boop, 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 boop. And then we're going to get Mondani arrest Bibi Netanyahu when he comes to New York. Now, there's an interesting legal question. And I'll tell you why it's an interesting legal question. There is no way that you have probable cause to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel because the International Criminal Court that has done whatever they do, we don't belong to it. So New York City can't belong to the International Criminal Court. Number two, he has diplomatic immunity. Number three, he's protected by backup Secret Service. The NYPD is not going to go in a gunfight with the Secret Service. I'm sorry, they work with each other. They love each other. And finally, if there's one person that the cops of New York City will hate more than de Blasio, it's this son of you know what, who now, as I told you a little while ago, has refused to renounce his statement that New York City police officers are racist, which I find personally insulting because I was one of a number of mayors that made New York City a non-majority police department. The majority isn't white, the majority isn't black, the majority isn't brown, the majority is blue. And you believe me, boy, when they become cops, and they're blue. Because the guy next to them, when there's a shootout, it doesn't matter if that guy has dark skin, white skin, or in-between skin. It depends on how brave is he and how can he shoot. That's going to keep you alive or not, just like Pete Hegseth was trying to get across today in what I thought was a brilliant speech. If anybody had any doubts about whether the president made a good choice with Pete, you just listen. I listened to that whole speech this morning, and I thought that was fabulous. It's almost like in one stroke he changed the whole ethos of the Department of War. He changed it from a Department of Defense. It was DOW, Department of Woke. And in one breath, he turned it from Department of Woke into Department of War. And he talked to those generals like they're soldiers. And when he said, if you don't agree with me in a nice way, get out, he meant it. because he, like me, knows don't get bulled by somebody having all those stars on their shoulder. I never did in the police department either. Sometimes it means they're great, and sometimes it means they're ass lickers. It's the guys who fight the wars and the guys who arrest the drug dealers. Those are the people who are the heart and soul of your police department and your army. And why they have to be diverse is another good question. Again, if I'm in a battle, I'm not asking, please make sure you have a woman here and a transvestite over here and a purple person here and a green person here and a blind person next to me. I mean, he can't see and can't shoot, but it's unfair to blind people not to have him in the army. Isn't that where we were under the Democrat communists? Isn't that what they did to our military? When Milley said at the end of the first Trump administration that he would warn China if Trump were going to attack them. First of all, Trump was never going to attack China. Where the hell he got that idea, I don't know. And if he was going to attack them, it would have been to defend our lives. I mean, that guy should have been fired right then. Boom, out. Where the hell you come off? You're going to show loyalty to our biggest enemy? The country that's murdered more of its own citizens than any country on earth? I don't know what has happened to the Democrats, but can we show a little of Pete's remarks today? I just thought they were terrific. And gosh, I think his cabinet, I mean, and then you had the press conference with Kennedy and Dr. Oz and McCarry, and boy, they are terrific. I mean, the president has a much better supporting cast this time than he had the first time. Last time he had to do it all on his own. This time, he's got a real backup this time. These guys are great. This is everything we've been talking about for 4 or 5 years. And a lot of people say, well, why do you have to have this meeting? Every corporation would do this. This is good management.
Say to me about different things.
Okay, we can do that one first.
Doesn't that give you anxiety? And I say, I don't get anxiety. This gave me anxiety. Oh, thank you, President Trump. It would not have happened. This is real leadership. It's somebody, a president who has a vision and makes that vision happen. And I can't think of any other president of the United States who could have done this in our history.
Gosh, that was a heck of a statement since his uncle was president of the United States. That was a heck of a statement, Bobby. I think he means that. I mean, I have never seen a president get things done like this, ever. In fact, I would guarantee you that even going back to his last term, people would say, well, you can't get it done that fast. In fact, a lot of people said he's only going to have 4 years, so he's not going to have enough time to get it done. If he keeps up at this pace, he'll have it all done in 2 years. And do you know, Ted, I know not all the experts agree with me on this, but I think this shutdown is a great opportunity to accelerate what was going to be really hard to do, which is to cut government to where it should be so that we're solvent. If we're solvent, we're powerful. If we can go to a 5 or 6% contribution to defense on GDP instead of 3 or 3.1, you know, Reagan was almost at 6% of GDP. And that's how we crushed the Soviet Union. You can crush those Chinese bastards the same way. The Chinese communist bastards, not the Chinese people. Chinese people are wonderful people with a great tradition, a great history, like the Iranian people, the Persian people. Wiped out by Islamic extremism, which is only matched for evil by communism.
Here's Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of War earlier
Pete.
today.
If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service.
Oh, that's so tough. Oh my God, he's so mean. Oh, that Petey, I always thought Petey was just a good guy. Unfortunately, we can't play the whole speech. I'd recommend, if you have a little time and are depressed like I am about the Yankees losing and don't want to watch a replay of the game, which I was prepared to do if they won. I am a child with regard to baseball, nothing else. Well, maybe a few other things, who knows? But that is exactly the way you have to run a military or a police department. At one point in the speech, he basically said what I've said for years, as they've been deteriorating the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and the Marines and even the Marines. They are warriors. They are trained killers for good. Because we live in an evil world. And if we don't have trained killers to protect the good people, the bad people will govern. Is that simple enough, jackass Republicans? Can you work on that? I know you don't understand Greek logic. My God, that got taken away from you when they did away with Western civilization at Harvard. But can you figure out the fact that there are terribly evil people in the world who have guns, armies, and some of them have nuclear weapons? And in order to keep ourselves alive and safe, to protect our children, we have to have people who are honest, law-abiding, but better killers than they are. Better. And equally willing to do it to protect freedom and democracy. I remember when one of the first times I lectured a special forces class on leadership, which I felt really, really humbled by. And after it was over, we had a dinner with about 6 of them, including the commander. And I said, I want to ask a question. Because, Pete was just saying everybody has to be. I said, I noticed a couple of the guys are like 5'5", 5'6", and police department, there always was a feeling that we made a mistake when we went too short. And the commander said, that would be true of a police department, or maybe even an infantry. But we're very different. You see those little guys you saw in the front? Yeah. He said, you know what they do? I said, no, I don't know what they do exactly. He said, well, they go into sewers for me. They crawl around in sewers, swim through them, come up and go into the building. Now, if they were 6'4", or they were like Aaron Judge, right, 6'8", they couldn't go into sewers. And they couldn't go into little holes. But make no mistake about it. They can kill you in a second, maybe 2. So don't mess with them. But that you got to understand, this is a commander of SEAL Team 6, the famous SEAL team. And since they're constantly in life and death situations, they have no room for bullshit. Everybody has to play their role, and everybody has to hold up their end. It's like my fire department. We would send the firefighters in 5 at a time with a commander, always a senior guy, and then 4 others of varying ranks and experience. And they're coming out dependent on each other. And if you start to bastardize that mission with all of this crap, about we have to have an equal number of this and an equal number of that, an equal number of this, that has nothing to do with fighting a war, then you deteriorate by the length to which you do that, your ability to fight a war. I mean, that you don't have to be a military expert. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to be a sensible person to figure that out. It's like if I had my baseball team had to be made up of the diversity of America. So I had to have a couple of disabled people on my baseball team. Well, of course you can't do that. Disabled people can contribute tremendous things, but they just can't run the bases if they're in a, for the last couple of weeks, even now, I can't run the bases. See? Hopefully in a few weeks. But the World Series would be over by then. They can't call me up, Ted. So here are the things we're waiting on. We're no longer waiting on the closing of the government. You can consider that the government's going to be shut down. Now, here's what it means. It doesn't mean the military goes home and rests. And in fact, the original impact of it is going to be far less than you think, because they call it a shutdown. It's a partial shutdown. And then it increases. And it increases based on how much further in the hole we get. And a lot of it is theoretical because you're estimating and you're constantly taking money in. So right now, the head of OMB and the Treasury Department can look at how much we have budgeted. Let's say it's $6.4 trillion. Okay. And let's say that based on today, and working it out to the end of the year, based on a $6.4 trillion authorization, we're actually spending $6.6 trillion. Then we have to begin closing down. Now, when we decided to spend $6.4 trillion, that's the amount of money we thought we were going to take in. Since then, we've taken in more money, particularly because of the tariffs. So let's say we budgeted $6.4 trillion, and based on the tariffs, we're now at $6.6 trillion in receipts, let's call it. So now we can spend $6.6 trillion. So the original $200 billion that was going to put us in deficit no longer does. So that keeps changing every day. And so the head of OMB and the Treasury Department makes these calls. So if tonight there was some extension of the shutdown, the way that would be accomplished, as I recall, is the head of OMB, Russ Voigt, would have to say, Mr. President, we were estimating yesterday and the day before yesterday that although we have now $6.6 trillion in receipts, we're at a spending level of 6.7, and therefore we'd have to begin to close down. But we took in an unexpected $100 billion in tariff receipts and other revenues that we hadn't estimated because the economy is doing better. And now our receipts are at 6.9. So we have another month to go. Now, that can be challenged in court, and you do all kinds of things with it, but it never is. And so the president could extend it. There's plenty of room in legitimate interpretation, if he wants to extend it another 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think he wants to. I think he called, as far as I can tell from interviewing the congressman, I think the president had a conversation tonight with Schumer and with the guy with the Mexican hat on. What's his name? I've forgotten. The one who claims that the president's a racist because he put a Mexican hat on him.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, yeah. Hakeem, call me a name and I'll call you a racist. Jeffries. And they told him, he said, do you want to extend? And they said no. And I think that was the signal. Start to cut. So now he goes, this is going to go into a lot of the government. Of course, it's going to be run by the president, but a lot of it is going to be run by the head of OMB. It's the head of OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, where people often tell you is the second most powerful person in Washington. Not always true, but certainly true at a time like this, and true whenever we're in budget difficulties. Because he'll make the original call on what gets funded, what doesn't get funded, who the essential services are. Are we taking in more money so we can extend it a little? Are we not? Do we have to go a little faster in going from partial shutdown to a lot more than a partial shutdown? All of that is in motion. And what the Democrats have done is they've handled the whole ball game to a highly conservative Republican who has for years wanted to cut the size of the government, has a plan to do it. Thank you. I don't think we could have gotten this done in Congress. That's what I think. I could be wrong. They may call the game in 2 days or 3 days, and he won't be able to do what he wants to do. You give this guy 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to have a lot better budget. And if it ever goes 35 days like the last one, it could be the best thing that ever happened to us. It doesn't stop us from funding the military. It doesn't stop us from funding law enforcement. He can still send all the troops he wants, any place he wants to send them. In fact, it locates the power of government even more in the president, since they're no longer really part of the funding mechanism, right? The power of the purse. Well, the power of the purse is over here now. There is no power of the purse. The power of the purse is the calculations made by the head of OMB, like this, like I just did. That's the power of the purse. Congress has, yes, the Democrats have got the government closed down, but they've taken themselves out of the decision-making process. And they won't come back into it until they agree on something. And by that time, hopefully about a quarter of the government will be gone. You won't miss them. You won't miss them. Most of them were home for 2 or 3 years anyway. Probably still home. Look, I worked for the federal government for 17 years, 18 years. Worked in Washington for 6. This is not coming out of my backside. It's coming out of experience going back to the Ford administration. So, believe me, I have found that these government shutdown battles are a lot of silliness. And we finally have a president and an administration that's smart enough to take tactical advantage of it. And this may be the first Republican president to switch it on them and get them blamed for it, because they deserve to be blamed for it. They should be blamed for all of them, because it all happens because we spend more than we budgeted. If we didn't spend more than we budgeted, it would never happen. So it's like we break our word to ourselves every year. Every year. And when we talk about cutting government, we don't cut government. Whenever we've actually cut government, we've cut the increase in government. When I was mayor of New York, I actually cut government. Which is why that guy wrote how successful I was.
Well, Mayor, you mentioned that Jeffrey's video, our audience for the 8 o'clock show may not have seen it, so I thought we'd...
Pardon me, Ted?
I don't think our 8 o'clock audience has seen the video from us. That's not from us, but you cited the Hakeem Jeffries video outside the White House.
Oh yeah, that's worth two viewings, even if you want to see it. I could watch it 10, 12. I've watched it about 4 times, and I laugh every time. So, I think it should get an award as one of the funniest things on television this year. And if you don't find this funny, I don't know, go see a psychiatrist or something.
Coded. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too. Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat.
So Hakeem Jeffries wasn't happy.
I'm sorry, Ted. You have to put it down if my laugh is too loud.
Hakeem Jeffries wasn't happy. And
do you realize this is the 5th time I've seen that and I still laugh? It's like when I watch Mike Lindell. Every time I see Mike, he makes me laugh. He's so funny. He's so just naturally humorous. So is Chuck. When you make fun of him.
Hakeem Jeffries did not find it as
they'll see it and others see it. They'll see it in other ways. It's easy to find, but it is absolutely disgusting in every way. It is a lie. It's the man you met with has now lied about what you said after that meeting. Could you give us your reaction to that Trump posted video tonight?
It's a disgusting video, and we're going to continue to make clear bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault on all the things: Medicaid, Medicare, the Affordable Care Act. We're going
to see it. They'll see it in other ways.
Well, breaking news, we have another response from Hakeem. He was not happy, so we thought
Hakeem does not have a sense of humor.
Do
you know, Ted? It's almost a given in politics.
We have
when someone makes fun of you, you don't respond seriously. You respond in a way that's even funnier to dominate the news cycle.
Well, here's an alternative.
That was idiotic to do that.
Here's
and then to go to racism is completely absurd, since there's nothing racist about it.
Right.
That guy could have been. They could have. If that were Pelosi, they'd done the same thing to Pelosi.
Right. So here's
except she'd have been drunk.
Right. So here's another response. Here's another response from Hakeem.
Who is this?
Hakeem Jeffries.
Oh, come on. Do we have to watch him again?
fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault. We are fighting to protect.
What a guy. I mean,
so even Schumer didn't resort to saying that it was anti-Semitic to make fun of him.
Right.
Since he's no longer Jewish, right?
Right.
Is he still Jewish?
I actually don't know. Yeah, I shouldn't have said it right.
Did they excommunicate Jews? I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's the same.
If he were a Catholic, I would move to have him excommunicated for trying to undermine the Israeli election, which I think is criminal. I don't know, isn't it? Well, if it's a Democrat, it can't be criminal.
Yeah. You're free. Yeah.
So how about all the phoniness with Comey? So my friend Navarro gets put in leg irons.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Stone has the Marines arrested him,
right.
Or the Nazi Gestapo. I don't know what they were, with CNN tipped off so they could make a big spectacle out of it, scaring the living daylights out of his wife. Right? They crash into my apartment in my law office, never find any crime. A year and a half later, announced that I didn't commit any crimes and won't give me the affidavit so I can sue him. Him, they treated like a gentleman. They indicted him and they let him come in and plead, or they're going to let him come in and plead. I don't even know what he's going to do. Well, of course, he is a cardinal. Did you notice the article yesterday in the Post that I failed to mention, referring to him as a cardinal?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I get some kind of credit for that?
Yeah, we put it up on the show.
I've been calling him. Oh, we did? Oh, good. I'm glad. You must have done it when I wasn't. Did you put it out?
No, not today. No, I'm saying you're right. We had the original graphic.
Do we have a graphic on it?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, good.
I got to put it up.
I think I should get credit for that. I've been calling him James Cardinal Comey for about 4 years. And the guy points out all the reasons, the guy points out in the article all the reasons why he should be called Cardinal Comey, largely because he's a sanctimonious phony and a major liar and criminal. One of the worst criminals who has undermined, who probably is the single biggest force in undermining one of the greatest law enforcement organizations in the world. What a scoundrel. And boy, he's gotten away with murder, that guy. Not murder, but, you know. Oh, there you go. We had that up a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying we had it before the New York Post article.
And they're all crying about his being, he was indicted, and they indicted all of us for nothing. At least he lied. Oh, perjury is not a crime.
Right.
Remember, it was the Wall Street Journal yesterday had somebody that wrote, the real crime is lack of judgment.
Right. Well, this was Comey on what?
I know 18 USC, backwards and forwards. 18 USC is the federal code. Largely, if it's not there, it isn't a crime. If it is there, it is a crime. I searched it high and low for lack of judgment. I could not find a crime called lack of judgment. I found a lot of perjury crimes, however, all kinds of false statement crimes. And Comey, it turns out, has committed every single one of them at one time or another. He's a serial perjurer, a serial false witness, only to be exceeded by his friend Michael Cohen, who says he's going to be convicted. You know why? People don't understand why Cohen did that. Because Comey screwed him too. The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office threw Cohen out as a irretrievable witness, a witness who could not be rehabilitated because he lied so much. Now, I know what that is. It's actually, it isn't quite a procedure in the Justice Department. It's close to a procedure. You get to such an extent with a cooperator that they've lied so much, you can't use them. So you throw him out. He was thrown out, which is why he went to jail. And I'm sure he blames the Justice Department for that. So now he's getting even with them too. I don't think he's trying to get back into Trump's good graces. Boy, he got awful skinny, Cohen. You think he's taking those injections?
I think so.
You know, Ted, there was an article that said that people get a Ozempic face. Have you ever heard this?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they get an Ozempic face. And now they have doctors who can help you with your Ozempic face. And I'm thinking about some people. Over the last couple of years, I watched them lose weight and their heads went from this size to that size. Even before their bodies did. So it must have been Ozempic. I think this Ozempic thing, I don't know, I think it's too dangerous. And Dr. Maria, I asked her this today because there was a big article about a Ozempic pill now. And I said, is there anybody that doesn't have side effects from Ozempic? And she said, almost impossible not to, because it screws around with your hormones so much that you almost, it's like the COVID vaccine, which screws around with your immune system so much, you really don't know what it's going to do to you. And as time has gone by, that whole thing has become more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous. So thank God we have the great people we have. Now, let me explain to you in the few minutes I have left, because we're going to get off in a minute. Let me explain to you, because I really know this subject well. I represented Pfizer for a while. What happens with the price of drugs, and what our brilliant president and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and that whole group you saw today, brilliant group, Oz and the Wizard of Oz, the real Wizard of Oz, and Macari, and one's better than the other. So developing miracle medicines or super medicines to keep people, any of that costs a lot of money. No question about it, right? Tremendous amount of research, tremendous amount of failure, tremendous amount of trial and error, a lot of risk, which when you think about the drug companies, you got to factor that in. And therefore, to make that back on a drug that succeeds, you got to make it back on a drug that succeeds, because you have 10 that don't. Let's make it a good case in trying to cure cancer. So now the European countries, Cara said when she was on before, they just negotiate better. They control the price of drugs legally. They're basically socialist countries, so they have a price control. Some of them negotiate better. She's right about that. But most of them have the backup of socialized medicine. So they'll only pay a certain amount for the medicine. So now they got to go to Uncle Sucker to pay everything. So if they get lucky with Viagra, right? Viagra's got to pay for about 40 they didn't get lucky with and lost $1 trillion. So they build it into the price of Viagra. But they don't get that price in England, and they don't get that price in France, and they don't get that price in China, and they don't get that price in blah, 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 blah. So where do they get that price? In a free market, America. They don't have to. They can hold out. They can say you're not going to get the drug if you don't move up the price to those other countries. But it's easier to hit Uncle Sucker. Now, this fits right into his whole analysis of tariffs, doesn't it? So what he did was he put out an executive order that said that America was entitled to the lowest, to favored nation, the lowest price that a company is getting from any country America gets, if you're an American company in particular, where you can control that. Pfizer's an American company. And Pfizer is the biggest. And Pfizer caved in and said, okay, we don't want to have a war with the president or with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who despises us. Mm-hmm. And we got plenty of flexibility to make this price up. All we got to do is sell more in America, and the price will come down, for example, the way it does for a television. 10 years ago, if you bought a 70-inch television, it's going to cost you $8,000. What does it cost now, Ted? $1,000?
Less than that.
Okay. Why? Because more people are buying it. If you can sell 20 times more at 1,000 than you can at 8,000, you sell it at 1,000. That's called economics. Democrats do not understand it. Socialists do not understand it. It's brilliant. If you understand it, you're going to be enormously successful in the right way. And that's what Pfizer will do. And Pfizer will say, okay, we got to work. Instead of putting all our money into lobbying in the U.S. and corrupting congressmen and senators and whatever, we'll put some money into those countries and squeeze them a little. Bring the price up. They're already bringing the price up in China. Already. No other president could have achieved this. All of them have talked about lowering the price. None of them have come close to it. This was a brilliant idea, which only could have happened from a president who's a great businessman with a great team around him. And understanding American businessmen. And no matter how good or bad they are, how they operate. So, yes, this will affect. Pfizer said mostly all of their medicines, which is a large number because they got some of the biggest and some of the best medicines. Viagra being, well, let's see how that all works out. But, just in a day's work for our president, huh? While the government is shutting down. It's not going to stop him from keep on doing this. He doesn't need them to affect the price of medicine or to get tariffs to bring in more money or to make deals to get us even on tariffs so we don't need the tariff. We'll make the money in a different way, even a healthier way. He doesn't need them to get Hamas to agree or not agree. They're not going to. Hamas doesn't even know what the Congress is. They look at the Congress, they probably feel really comfortable. There'd be a couple of guys there just like them. Imagine getting Bibi to tell Qatar that he regrets. What a brilliant stroke. And then all the Arab countries use that to come in. So now we have all the Arab countries with the exception of a non-country, except in the eyes of the UK, Australia, and whatever, Canada, whatever that is, that now want to recognize the thing that doesn't exist, the Palestinian thing. All the Arab countries are in favor of the peace deal. The US is and Israel is. So how did he flip that, right? So Israel was on the hook. And by Trump magic, he flipped the script. So now the responsibility for whether this war continues or not is in the hands of Hamas. And sure, that's not going to register with the communist press and the world press, but it's going to register with the guy that matters, Bibi. I am convinced that Bibi believes that the best thing for his people is to wipe out Hamas. There's no agreement with them. No matter how you tie it up, no matter how good it is, and this one is good, there's no agreement that's anywhere near as secure as killing them all when they want to eliminate the Jewish people. And unfortunately, he's right. So if they turn it down, it might be what Bibi really wants. Look at this headline. Did you ever think you'd see that? That's a Trump. They just don't appreciate him. They don't not appreciate him. Charlie Kirk wrote a letter or sent an email to Bibi, oh gosh, a couple of months before his death, that Bibi revealed 8 days after. I missed it at the time. Bibi first mentioned the letter on September 18th, 8 days after Charlie was fatally shot. And he wrote, he wrote to Bibi, counseling him on how to counter the anti-Israel sentiment among Gen Z and win the information war being waged against the Jewish people, according to a letter obtained by the Post. Kirk wrote to Netanyahu in the May 2 letter that he was alarmed by anti-Israel and anti-Semitic trends hitting record levels on social media. And he wrote, since one of his greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews in the fight to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. And he said his team has been analyzing this and he wants to help them to, turn around the script that's been flipped on them, where all of a sudden they're the bad guys and the terrorists are the good guys. It doesn't make any sense, except if you understand communism and you understand that the Islamic extremists borrow the tactics of the Leninists and the Maoists and the 1984 people in flipping the script on us. Charlie understood that and was ready to help Israel with that. So much for the fact that they say he turned on it. Bullshit. Now, Israel is doing a great job of looking like Ronald Reagan. What do I mean by that? They're looking like they're just really anxious for Hamas to say no. So I don't know how that's going to affect it. It's almost like an all-win proposition. Better win if they can take them out. But one writer today recommended that Israel close the British and French consulates in Jerusalem. Now you say, why? Because France, I guess France also, and the UK have recognized some kind of a Palestinian something or other. And the way in which they have diplomatic relations with whatever exists of the Palestinian Authority, particularly in the West Bank, where it's the crooks, the Fatah, rather than the killers. Well, the Fatah's killers too, but not overtly and not as much. But they do a lot of killing also. So when you hear Palestinian, remember, 2 years old, they're taught to kill you and they're taught to kill all the Jews. They're taught to kill all the people in England and France too, but they're just too cowardly and stupid to understand it, which is why England may be a Muslim country pretty soon. The Church of England is bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye. No more Church of England. Pretty soon there'll be all nightclubs like the Episcopalian churches in New York. There'll be, swinging nightclubs with drugs and who knows what. But the Church of England is like, it's not a church. It's a woke cult, which is why I think there are more Roman Catholics in Henry VIII's country than Anglicans, I think. Pretty close. So the thought is close down those consulates. And there'd be no way that France and the UK and Australia and Canada would have to send people to the Palestinian Authority. You think they're going to do that? They don't like them that much. How about taking them in your country? Now that you recognize, why don't you take them all? Why don't you send half to England, about a third to England, a third to Australia? That's where they sent the prisoners anyway. And then a third to Canada, where they can become French Canadians and sing songs and boo America and do all kinds of socialist things. Send them to the western part of Canada. You ain't going to hear from them anymore. So let's see what happens. I'm still anxious on that decision. And one last thought, and that is the recommendation from former Brigadier General Mark T. Kimmett, borrowing from the history of war, which, you really should learn. My two best political advisors, David Garth and Roger Ailes, used to read histories of wars to be political advisors because they equated political campaigns with wars. Both of them were pretty close to scholars on warfare. So General Kimmett goes back to the Cold War, and he says that during the Cold War, we were making a very, very big mistake. And it's what I referred to earlier about the cruise missiles. We had built up a defense in Europe to the Soviets that was purely a defense. If they came over the line to try to take, the rest of Europe, they had Poland, they had East Germany, always a threat that they'd come across and try to take more of it. We were going to stop them defensively. And in the change of administrations from Nixon, Ford, Carter, the people in the Pentagon, but particularly, let me give credit where credit is due, General Don Sterry put together a group of generals to study this. And he concluded that we were making a terrible mistake, that we had discarded active defense, that we had to discard active defense. And what we had to do is develop a strategy of air-land battle. And what was fundamental to that battle was deep battle and follow-on forces attacks. Now, this is all Pentagon jargon. Let me explain to you in English. You had to defeat them in their country before they could come to you. Or how about this? The best defense is a good offense. Sometimes the other way around, but sometimes the best defense is a good offense. So instead of just waiting for them to come over the border, you had to reach into Russia and be ready to hit them in Russia before they could leave. And we developed weapons to do that over a 5-year period, and along comes Reagan. Pushes up the budget so we can afford to do it quickly, and then comes up with the brilliant idea of the cruise missiles that could, in 2 hours, could take out a Russian city with a president that looked like he really wanted to do it. Well, we just scared the shit out of them, and they went away. They'll go away again if we do that. That's why, what would that all lead up to? It leads up to, if we want to end this thing in Ukraine, we tell Ukraine, you can use those missiles we gave you, and you can hit Russia back the way Russia's hitting you. If they take out an apartment complex, you take out an apartment complex. But how about we hit their military facilities? How about we hit their oil facilities? They're getting hit on oil anyway. Let's hit them again so we really starve them. But you got the rockets. You got the planes. You just had America stopping you from going over the line into Russia. That's like what they did to MacArthur in the Korean War. Let's not do that to Ukraine. We got to win this. Whether you like Ukraine or you don't like Ukraine. I like Ukraine. Whether you like Zelensky or you don't. I don't like Zelensky. This isn't about, it's bigger than Zelensky. It's bigger than Ukraine. And Ukraine's pretty big. Those are nice people and good people. This is about how America gets back to being the dominant power in the world so we can protect the world from the evil forces that want to take it over. That can be described as two: Islamic extremism and communism. Trump's razzle-dazzle in the last couple of weeks has put us in some of the best situations I've seen for being able to do that. Believe it or not, whether the particular strategy right now succeeds or not, if we stick with it. When you got a good strategy, even in a football game, if it doesn't work in the first quarter, you don't abandon it. You just improve it. This is a good strategy. The flip that he's done on both is brilliant. It will go down in history, I think, as one of the great presidential decisions. Little noted, but it'll be long remembered. So, Ted, I think it's remarkable. I want you to congratulate me for being able to do this after the Yankee. Well, I want to tell you I've matured a lot, because several times, even when I was mayor, if the Yankees lost a game, I would seriously consider suicide.
I know you're joking with that comment, but hey, look, I think you got to approach it. It's not over.
Of course,
and
it's
you got
not
to stay
over.
in a good headspace, just like the team, right? You consider yourself an extension of the team.
The only time we lost to these guys, and then it turned everything around, was when we were ahead 3-0.
Right.
We play much better from behind. Okay. We're a better team than they are, fundamentally.
Well, we'll have it on tomorrow night. So if you're watching tomorrow night, we'll have the game on just
what
like
we
tonight.
don't have, and it's really remarkable that the guy that was a Yankee who flaked out on us closed the game tonight. Baseball is weird. Well, pray for the people of Ukraine and the people of Israel and the people of Iran. Pray for the people of this country. We're going through such violence now of all different kinds. You can't just equate it as one kind of thing, although there are separate pockets that have to be addressed. And pray for our president, who is doing a remarkable job, but he's working so hard. And he's under such pressure. And he handles it beautifully. My God, he's a human being. Not that the left treats him like a human being, but we know he's a human being. And there's not much we can do for him, because he's one of these guys who says, so what you can do is pray for him. And we believe that prayer works. They don't. They make fun of it, the communist Democrats. I don't make fun of prayer. They wouldn't be behind me. I'm pointed the wrong way. They wouldn't be behind me if I didn't believe in prayer, and he wouldn't be behind me if I didn't believe in America. See what it says under the great president, my hero, Ronald Reagan? You're getting a real run for your money, Mr. President. I bet you love it. I remember great baseball players, I don't remember who, saying records are made to be broken. So let's see if President Trump can be the greatest president. At least in our living memory, he was the guy behind me. That one. Well, tomorrow night, 7:00, you come to us on X and on Michael TV, Lindell TV, and then at X on the original baseball show, America's Mayor Live. We'll give you a little play-by-play. Hopefully we'll win 10-0. And I'll be very happy. And we'll steer you to Dr. Maria's show, who's a Red Sox fan, believe it or not. I mean, she's not perfect. Almost. And And every day, isn't every day so exciting? With all the changes that are happening? You're living through an unbelievable time. You're very fortunate. You're living through what will be a major period in American history, not even depending on which way we go, either way we go. And I think it's right now a great president and his tremendous team is, they've done more in less than a year to push it in the right direction than you could possibly expect. So we'll see you tomorrow night. God bless America.
Appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. It should be common sense. Most units do that already, but we're codifying it. And we're not talking like hot yoga and stretching. Real hard PT, either as a unit or as an individual. At every level, from the Joint Chiefs to everyone in this room to the youngest private, leaders set the standard. And so many of you do this already. Active, Guard, and Reserve. This also means grooming standards. No more beards, long hair, superficial individual expression. We're going to cut our hair, shave our beards, and adhere to standards. Because it's like the broken windows theory of policing. It's like when you let the small stuff go, the big stuff eventually goes. So you have to address the small stuff. This is on duty, in the field, and in the rear. If you want a beard, you can join Special Forces. If not, then shave. We don't have a military full of Nordic pagans. But unfortunately, we have had leaders who either refused to call BS and enforce standards, or leaders who felt like they were not allowed to enforce standards. Both are unacceptable. And that's why today, at my direction, the era of unprofessional appearance is over. No more beardos. It all starts with physical fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular hard PT, so can every member of our joint force.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.